Hi, I'm Carrie, and I have lost 200 pounds, and I am on a mission to lose the rest of my weight. And I'm glad that you can join me for this conversation because I want to say that you can't hate yourself into a body you love. No matter how many diets that you try, if you don't believe that you are worthy of health, then you're going to keep sabotaging your progress. I know this because I have lived it. It wasn't until I started setting boundaries out of love for myself that everything really began to change. So let me tell you a story. So there was this moment, and I can still feel it in my chest when I think about it, when I finally saw what I was doing to myself. Like, I had just binged on a whole bunch of stuff. I wasn't even hungry. I wasn't craving anything, but I was angry and overwhelmed and completely disconnected from myself. My house was completely quiet, but my mind was just screaming at me. And I remember sitting at my kitchen with these food wrappers all around me, and I was crying. Not because I was full or sick at my stomach, but because I was so tired of being stuck in this same cycle. And I had just had this phone call with a friend. I'm not even sure I should really use the word friend to describe this person, because they were someone who always made me feel small. And on this particular call, they told me, "You're just so extreme now. You're not fun anymore. All these boundaries and this health stuff, and you're just this health freak, and it's just way too much for me." Not the first time someone's told me that. I'd heard it before. People in my life, they just weren't happy with the new me. They weren't happy with the me who said no. The me who didn't, eat fast food to make them feel comfortable. The me who didn't drop everything to fix their problems while I'm drowning in my own. And that night, something really shifted in me. I looked around at the aftermath of just another binge, and I realized that I was really abandoning myself in order to be liked, in order to be accepted, to avoid rocking the boat. And I made a decision. And that decision that I made was not a diet decision. It was a life decision. Like, the perspective changed. So from that night forward, I stopped betraying myself. I stopped letting food be the way that I swallowed my feelings. And I would stop keeping people in my life who only loved the version of me that self-abandoned. And I'm going to be honest with you, that choice cost me people. There are people who are no longer in my life because they couldn't handle the me who set boundaries. People who called me selfish for prioritizing myself. People who got uncomfortable when I stopped people pleasing, when I stopped eating to keep the peace. I stopped shrinking myself, both literally and emotionally. But you know what? When they left, so did the weight. So did the guilt. So did the shame. Because really, when you stop letting people cross your boundaries, then you stop crossing your own. And I'm here to tell you, friends, that's when real healing begins. Loving yourself doesn't always feel like love at first. Sometimes it's going to feel a lot like grief. It feels like letting go of those who, letting go of who that you were pretending to be in order to keep the peace. But self-love is the foundation of real transformation, and if you're trying to get healthy from a place of shame or fear or punishment, then your body is going to feel it. Trust me, I know. Mine felt it. You can't punish your way to peace. You can't restrict your way to freedom. You can't hate your way into health. What does real self-love look like then? Because we hear, the word love. We hear love yourself all the time. But, what does that actually mean? Loving yourself isn't about bubble baths or spa days. That's self-care, and it's very important. But it's not really the same as self-love. Because self-love is about showing up for yourself even when things are uncomfortable. It's about choosing long-term peace over that short-term pleasure. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I deserve better than this. When I started loving myself, I didn't suddenly feel good all the time. But I did start making better choices. Not because I hated how I looked, but because I wanted to take care of the person inside of me. And when you love yourself, you stop using food as punishment. You start nourishing instead of numbing. You choose these habits that align with your goals, not because you have to, but because you want to. Because you want to protect your own peace. Saying no when it's not aligned with you. Choosing a home-cooked, whole food, plant-based, nutrient-rich meal instead of those emotionally draining, fast food meals. Going for a walk instead of answering, that draining phone call. Saying, I love you to yourself by how you show up, not just how you speak. When you love yourself, you protect your energy, your peace, and your progress. Now, let's kind of talk a little bit about boundaries, because I used to think that boundaries were harsh. I used to think saying no meant I was being rude or unkind. The truth is, though, boundaries, they are kindness. They're kindness to yourself and to others, and they are a form of self-love. Because when you operate from this place of resentment and people-pleasing and exhaustion, you are not showing up as your best self. And another truth, boundaries protect your energy, so that way you can put your energy towards healing. You don't owe anyone an explanation for doing what's best for you. So here's how I set some boundaries. With people, I stopped explaining myself. I stopped accepting guilt trips. I stopped showing up for people who were not showing up for me. I set boundaries with my mind. So I stopped allowing my inner critic to speak louder than my own truth. I stopped waiting to feel worthy enough before I took care of myself. And I set boundaries with food. So I removed trigger foods from my environment. I stopped eating to please others or to fit in with them. I chose meals that made me feel alive and not numb. And you know what? With each boundary, I felt lighter, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and eventually the scale caught up. But by then, the real weight that I had lost wasn't even physical. It was the weight of self-abandonment. So, here's what I want you to know. You can love people and still choose yourself. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can want to be healthy and still enjoy your life. But you can't do any of it if you're still trying to please people who like that unhealed version of you. Let them go. Let the guilt go. Let that old version of you go. And let self-love lead. Because when you start treating yourself like someone you love, the weight, the shame, the need to apologize for who you are starts falling away. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need willpower. You need to believe that you are already worthy of care, exactly as you are. And that means making decisions that are going to honor your future self. Weight loss becomes so much easier when it's not rooted in shame. When your motivation shifts from I hate my body to I love myself too much to stay stuck, then everything changes. You're going to start walking because it feels good, not to punish yourself. You're going to start prepping your meals because it supports your energy, not because it's some rule that you've set. You're going to stop giving food power that it does not deserve. Loving yourself doesn't mean you give up on change. It just means that you finally create the change that's going to last for you. So, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments what's one boundary that you need to set today to protect your health, your peace, and your energy and your future. And until the next conversation, remember, we are doing this together. Bye.